All right. So, yes, how do I segue into this flawless performance? So yes, I facilitate a lot of things that go on in this community, as well as Jesse and James and like Molly's here too. There's Barley Rhymes, which is not being represented, but that's a fun time too. This is a really exciting time in Flagstaff that all these things are happening. There's a Nonfiction Now thing coming, and then the book festival coming back. What else? Oh, the individual World Poetry Slam is going to be in 2 years. So there's all this big stuff. People are really excited to come here to Flagstaff. I'm excited to be here. And yes, I typically force people to do this part, but now I'm being forced to do it. So, eating my foot. It is kicking my lungs currently. So yes, it's strange time. So I teach a lot of like workshops with middle schoolers and freshmen in college because I like thrive on the challenge or whatever. And one of the things I often teach is like no matter what you do, it's all about the first step, like putting whatever it is that you're doing is like into like that first tiny actuality, I guess that is. So that's like maybe like mentioning to someone like, oh, I would love to start an event where like, this thing happens. And then once you put that out there, so many people are like waiting for that exact thing that you like want to do with your life. So that's like really encouraging. But it is all about this like sort of like the secret bullshit. So of putting out there, one way that I try to like keep poetry in my life is I do a version of word Sudoku called haikus, which is like not like traditional haikus having to do with like a season or like the traditional 5-7-5. I know some of you were really concerned, I could tell. American street haiku, it's not a thing. American street haiku, it's a thing now because I'm defining it, is straight 17 syllables. And you can do this at any time. You can do it any time. I do it a lot with younger kids because they don't realize that they're capable of poetry, but they are capable of writing sentences, and that is sometimes haiku. Here's some examples. Here's a French absurdist haiku, which everyone is just dying to hear. Okay, French absurdist haiku. Miserable shark, doomed to swim in circles, but what does he miss? Fin. That's a there you go. Cool. That's a visual haiku. But like I've been working downtown at 22 East Route 66 for like too long now, to like 4 or 5 years. So like dealing with the sort of like really fun like what's the scientific term? Hippy dippy bullshit? Yeah, so dealing with that, working coffee is a really fun time. So that gives me lots of material for haikus when it's slow. One of which is, yes, I can make that with soy and then kick you right in the dick chakra. That's a cafe haiku. This is going really well. So, I know. Another one would be like, oh, the ATM totally didn't accept my karma. Bummer, man. That's another. I really love hippies. So I write a lot of really short stuff. Because I get very, very tired of hearing the sound of my own voice almost immediately, which is why I do the hosting. James has figured it out, Jesse has figured it out. You get to say something for about a couple seconds and get off the stage, and people think that you're spending a lot of stage time, but it's a very small amount, and just enough to get people off your back. So something I really love doing, my other field of work is working with adults with developmental disabilities. 2 of my siblings are on the spectrum of having autism. And so that I'm given a lot of material through them, and just a lot of joy working with adults. The prevailing honesty is what gets me a lot. There's this gentleman, Martin, I used to work with, who every time would approach me and say like, John, do you have a girlfriend? And I'd be like, oh, no, not right now. I'm not dating anybody. And then he would just rub my back, be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. For like 3 minutes, he would just be mourning my singlehood when I'm trying to ignore it. And then his advice would always be like, shave that beard. Maybe you gotta shave that beard. He had a beard, so yeah, bastard. This one is for a different former client of mine. The profoundness of some people to like look at not even look at what they're doing, to just do something and then like point out a tiny thing that like completely like changes your life. Like maybe some of you have like children or like work with kids and they just say like these little profound things. Morgan Blacko is a really fantastic painter, and he does these giant works where there's all these colors and shapes and like hands, and like just he'll fill this entire canvas with like words, and it's just like so visually overwhelming and complex. And this is about when one day he pointed to this like, I don't know, 3 foot by 4 foot painting to me, and there was like one yellow square in the middle of it. And he simply told me like, oh, this is where I was born. So this is a very short poem for Morgan Blacko. This is where I was born, a glowing open door where ghosts rattle by and dance warmly in your tummy, tickle your teeth, press corn into the palm of their hands and closely ember neath your pit. You had no idea, did you, how many bodies could fit past my smile, my hands heavy with promise. I fumbled proudly, but a closed door was before only darkness. Okay, that's from Morgan. So a lot of what I've been writing this summer has been honestly like pretty dark, I guess. Things are going very well. I want that to be. I'll talk about that at the very end. I have some exciting things I would like to share with you. One of the things I've been dealing with is I am a mixed race person. What? He's not just white? No, I'm not. So I'm half Hispanic, and then I have all these cousins on my Irish side of the family, and it became very apparent to me that my grandfather, when like listing how many grandchildren he had, listed like a good bit few recently, as far as kids that were in the family that were mixed race and things like that. So I've been kind of like dealing with this identity because like I grew up in the South, like along the coast. I was born in Arizona and moved to Georgia because my parents hated me. And then I went up the coast. So I grew up like mostly in the South and came to Arizona and was like, I will not say y'all ever again. And then I still do. But it was weird being like on that, in that environment and very much like discriminated against as a child, and coming back to Arizona, like where I'm surrounded by my Hispanic side of the family, and I've gotten much more in the shade and paler is really what I'm trying to say. I'm not just hairy for no reason. So I guess dealing with almost retrograde discrimination like within my own family has been really hard. So this is called Circle Song, Omaha. I was born thick hair. I must have slithered through your fingers. Hips rattled, tongue rolling past my sharp teeth. You must have been proud to finally grasp my hand through the shade, rub smooth and turn pearl against the curves in my name. The wind cuts sharp through my curls, thick hair. Circle Song, okay. I do a lot of the poetry stuff. One of the main things I guess I'm associated with. Oh, it's very weird being associated with poetry because I never set out to do it. I was never like in high school or anything, and I was like, I'm a writer. I'm going to do writing. My background's in art education, and like a couple years ago, I saw that a lot of like the literary community just wasn't really being fostered with young people. So I took on the Poetry Slam, and now like I'm working and doing that nationally, and I'm at all the big events. What happened this last time? Oh, the time before last, technically. What happened last time is within 2 hours of parking at the National Poetry Slam, all of my belongings got stolen. So I had to spend this week doing all these poetry events and like working for the organization in the same clothes without like being able to change out my contacts and stuff. So it was a very interesting experience to have what I thought was close to nothing, but like surrounded by so much, if that makes any sense. So this is in regards to the physics of poetry. When you've lost nearly everything in your own backpack in Oakland, you'll learn to curse seagulls. Consider the physics of a metaphor. Swing bond through the broken. Surely I must be pulling you closer. Nothing but the bond. Thirsty hands, often cupped, overflowing near my open mouth. The rolled carpet laying beneath. Fingers walk briskly into me. Yeah. Okay. There's that. Something I also am a visual artist, and a lot of what I tackle is having to do with Hispanic folk art. And the one thing I've always really cherished within my own family and the culture as a whole is finding a lot of humor in death. So I was at my great-grandfather's funeral, which is a perfect segue into a happy story. I was at my great-grandfather's funeral, and near the end of it, their like mariachi band like swelled, and they decided to cut all these balloons that had been hanging during the day, but they were all white. So near the end of this funeral, they cut all the balloons, and they're flowing off into the distance. And one of my aunts was just like, oh, that's not right at all, because a white balloon flowing in the air looks like something. If you're not aware of the visual joke, then talk to your parents or something. But yeah, I was there with a friend at the time, and we laughed so uproariously that it fell into a 3-year relationship. So this will be my last one, and then a couple little things. Let's dance wind chime past the gates, bright skeletons, rattling teeth against pelvis, a drawer filled with loose change, poor and begging to press something against my tongue. I pray into you, sweet marimba. That's a poem about 2 skeletons fucking. So anyway. So something that has happened very, very quickly in the past week, it's been like a whirlwind week for me. I like moved out of the place I moved into when I moved up here. So it's like I'm out of this place of like 4 or 5 years, and then I moved into this new place, and I'm running an Airbnb, and everyone's been really delightful. But also I purchased an office space that I'll be doing like a small production and printing company out of for chapbooks and stuff for youth, adults with developmental disabilities, and people who are just wanting to have something out there for the first time. So I will be woodblock printing as well as industrially printing stuff for people within the community. If you would like to get involved, please talk to me. It's called Stellar J Productions. Stellar spelt like stellar, because I don't know. I make poor choices. If you'd like to get involved, please come talk to me as if I'm a real person, because I am. If you go to touch me, I'm not like a hologram or anything. So I will accept any drink that you give me. Goodbye.